You're watching Politics Unscripted, the segment of the show, the talking point. Let's get into this conversation now. ANC staffers could be facing a bleak Christmas as the party still has not paid their salaries. People working for the party have already gone 5 months without pay. Let's speak now to one of these people and who represents some of the workers at Luthuli House, and his name is Lindo Dladla. He talks to us via the virtual platform. We're also hoping to be joined by Mandla Kwane, who is also a representative of the workers here in the Gauteng province. But let's start in KwaZulu-Natal and speak to Mr. Dladla now. Lindo, good afternoon to you, and thank you very much for making the time to talk to us. Let's just begin about you, I assume, are one of the workers at the ANC's head offices, and I would want to believe that you work for the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal. Before we talk about the issues that plague the workers, how has this matter affected you personally as a worker, someone who works within the ANC offices in KwaZulu-Natal?
Good afternoon, Paul, and good afternoon to your viewers, and thank you for having us so that we can tell our story and hopefully it can reach the ears of those that are leading us, but also to the South Africans. Look, Paul, the issue of our non-payment of salaries has affected us negatively to a point that it's even difficult to send your schools, your children to school. It's even difficult to provide for them whilst they are locked down at home, because you're not sending them at school, and they would be asking for food, they'll be asking for bread, and you can't provide such basic things that you would be in the position to provide it when you have a salary which is consistent. But moreover that, it would even affect us in the future, because if you are looking at salaries and only salaries, you'll be making a mistake, because yes, it affects us immediately, but when you are talking about the non-payment of salaries, it translates to the non-payment and the non-contribution to the Provident Fund, which we are saying we want to have a talk which is complete in its picture, because we don't want only to isolate salaries as one item. We want to talk holistically about what is affecting us and what is concerning us and why we are taking actions towards resolving our issues.
If you can, Lindo, try and give us that holistic picture. If you're saying that salaries are not the only problem here, what else is at play that we, members of the public, may not necessarily know?
If you remember well, Tolly, in June, we took to the streets and we handed over our memorandum in a form of a picket to our leaders. We demonstrated in each and every provincial office and Luthuli House. And Comrade Jesse Duarte, who was the Deputy Secretary General of the ANC, took our memorandum, which was stipulating our demands, starting from salaries, starting from the workers that have been with the ANC for more than 18 months and they are not employed permanently, because that needs to be resolved, which it contradicts the labor laws of the country. The non-payment of our Provident Fund, which dates back to 2018, which I believe it's now in millions in deficit, and we are in a position where we are worried about how then do we secure our future when we are not going to be provided with the security of the future. Also, other issues is to formalize or in a manner restructure the manner in which we work. We need to have a revised organogram so that it accommodates those that we see them as not full-time employed to be full-time employed. We want to do this with our leadership. And our cry is not only blaming our leadership, but we are calling our leadership to sit around the table with us so that we work out the complete solution or the progressive solution that will be lasting solution, not a solution that our leaders are providing us during this time. We also are crying about our UIFs, which in a way you don't have a contribution towards that if you are not paid salaries. And if even where we are paid salaries through the intervention of provinces, because the provinces also do assist in some provinces, like the province of KwaZulu-Natal, do assist the workers of KwaZulu-Natal so that we don't sleep without having food to eat. But those interventions are limited because they are not going towards the contribution of your provident fund, your AF, and whatever basics that we need to be contributing to deducted from the salary. So those are the things and the issues that we want our leadership to attend to. And we have said so many times that we would want a commitment in writing from our leaders, because whenever we engage with our leaders, very few times that we have engaged, probably we have met with the officials about 2, if not 3 times, and we have never had a concrete plan or a concrete way forward out of the demands that we have stipulated in our memorandum.
Well, as we mentioned at the beginning of this interaction, Lindo, we were going to be joined by another of your colleagues, but who is in the Gauteng province, Mandla Kwane, who also joins this conversation now. Mr. Kwane, thank you very much for making the time. And let's just pick up on what Lindo was talking about, and that is a written commitment from the leaders of the ANC in terms of what is owed to you, and that is your salaries. Why is it that they have not given a written commitment to you about when it is that this whole saga is going to be resolved? I was just reading the papers today, and the understanding is that Paul Mashatile is going to hopefully present some kind of plan at the next NEC meeting where this matter is going to be solved. What do you know so far?
No, thanks, Colin, and greetings to you and the viewers of Newzroom Afrika. And I want to firstly apologize. I had some technical challenges. I couldn't join on time.
No problem.
But I must say, Colin, that, you know, the issue as it relates to the leadership of the ANC being hesitant to actually write or put in writing a commitment to the demands that we have made or we have put to them has been a problematic situation. I mean, this comes as far as June the 15th, where in our first picket we handed over a memorandum which was received by the ANC DSG, as Comrade Lindo has said. And there was a commitment that we were going to get a detailed feedback by the end of August, which was going to indicate what areas are going to be dealt with at a short term and what areas would necessitate a long-term solution. Now, that we waited until August, end August, and nothing came forward. We went back to the leadership of the ANC. We said, look, we had agreed that we're going to meet here by the end of August, and we receive a detailed commitment or a plan as to how we are going to deal with these issues. And Comrade Lindo is right that these issues are broad. They are beyond salaries. There are issues that relate to the increase on salaries. There are issues that relate to the overall management of ANC staff, the grading, how salaries are allocated to individuals, and issues that relate to whether it's true or not that there is ghost staff in the ANC, and how we resolve those issues, and issues that relate to the Provident Fund, the UIF, and all these other issues. Now, our biggest challenge is that there is serious hesitation from the leadership to give us a commitment. And that has led to us assuming or believing that the reason why the leadership can't put this in writing is because there is no conviction, there's no political will from the leadership to resolve these matters with the necessary agents that it deserves. And that is the only conclusion we can draw.
Let me interrupt you there, Mandla, very briefly. Because of time constraints, I'm going to try and speed up the conversation because we are going to be moving on at around past. Let me quickly ask you this. For people listening, is this matter only affecting staffers at the ANC offices around the country? When I say staffers, I'm talking about people who are not necessarily politicians. What about politicians? My understanding is that people, for example, who hold the positions of secretary, those are almost people who hold full-time positions in these various offices, and that means that they also rely on the very same salary, on the same salary list. Do you know whether it is just workers, not necessarily politicians, who are affected by this, or is it everybody that is affected here?
Look, what we know is that it affects everyone who's under the ANC employ, meaning everyone who draws a salary from the ANC headquarters.
Yeah.
Everyone is affected. I'm saying this because you'll remember in our last picket, we were even joined by NEC members who came to join the picket because they're affected. You might have seen Comrade Nomvula, Comrade Dakota, Batabile, Comrade Besani, and other comrades who were there. These are comrades who are NEC members who are permanently employed in Luthuli House. They are also affected by this situation. And if I were to unpack to you and say the issue of salaries on its own as one matter, their situation, those who are NEC members, are even worse than staffers, if I can put it that way, because members of staff in the main have received their salaries until September, the month of September. So NEC members have not received their salaries. They last received their salaries in August. Now their situation is that they are a month over us in terms of the outstanding salaries. That is the understanding that we have. Yeah. I can't say about the national officials who are based in Luthuli House. It would be really a lie from me if I were to say I know whether they are being paid or not. At least these NEC members, because they said it themselves, that they are not being paid just like ourselves. We can confirm that based on what they've given us.
Gentlemen, let me wrap this up. Lindo, let's come to you in KZN. The ANC at the moment, I think it's faced with a number of practical challenges that are going to probably intensify as the party goes into its major conference, which is in December next year. But all of that is preceded by the various regional conferences, including provincial conferences. What becomes your role as ordinary staff when it comes to these particular issues? Because I imagine this is going to be a massive headache for party officials if this matter remains unresolved.
Well, clearly understanding our role as staffers, understanding it from a premise that says we are ANC members before we are staff members. We also have a responsibility to rebuild the organization more than just being handed a responsibility of administration as a staff member. So ours, as we are a staff representative committee, is to address the unfair practices of your Labor Relations Act contradictions with the staff. In terms of us contributing towards your conferences and any other issue that pertains in strengthening the movement, we are going to contribute as both as staffers and members, because we believe that we do have a role to play in that regard in rebuilding the organization. But when it comes to the actions that we might take, it won't be the actions that are seeking to destroy the organization or to disturb the organization, because that would contravene also the constitution of the ANC, which still guides us and the behavior whilst we are addressing the issues that are there. Yeah. So for us, we are still going to contribute in our responsibilities as staff members, but in parallel to that, we are still going to raise these issues as we are raising it with the national leadership. Because remember, the ANC has only one human resource department, and that is in Utuli House. That is where we are addressing our issues, we're directing our issues. Sure. But in terms of the operations and everything that has to do with the organization going downwards, where we have to contribute, we will contribute.
Gentlemen, I'm completely out of time, but let me upset my producers and squeeze one last one. We are going to eat into Sihle Zigalala's time. Hopefully he will understand here. You know, as workers generally, I work for Newzroom Afrika, for example, and people in my community will probably know who I work for, including maybe the whole of South Africa. You, in your pockets of communities where you come from, people know who you work for. What have been some of the general comments that you receive when people hear that you are not paid and people see your children not being able to go to school or provide food, as Lindo said earlier in the conversation? People understand that you work for a party that governs this country. What kind of comments has this elicited from communities, ordinary members of the community? Mandla.
Look, Tolly, this starts with just general members of the ANC. There's a serious level of disappointment that members of the ANC are taking this with. And it goes across all provinces. Comrades call us every day, and at times you just think that comrades are trying to really counsel us and try to calm us down and so on. Comrades are disappointed, and they are seriously concerned also about the level of commitment of the current leadership of the ANC in the ANC and its sustainability. But when it comes to our families and our communities where we come from, it really hits them hard because it talks to their own well-being. You know, we are Africans in the main. And with our families, it's not me and my wife and my kids. It is always me, my wife, my kids, our relatives, and our neighbors. There are a lot of people that are relying on us and our small salaries that we get from the ANC. And when we say to them we can't provide with the necessary help that we have been giving, it disappoints them, it hurts them, and it brings about some grief against the ANC. And that is not what we would want the ANC to see. And we have been saying only to the leadership of the ANC that this is not a small matter of staff members. This is a matter of well-being of human beings who come from families and who come from communities. And out there, the feeling is ill. Our people are really not happy about the ANC and how it treats its own. Even opposition political parties, they are speaking against this. They are saying the ANC can't treat its own like this. If it treats its own like this, how is it going to make sure that it gives comfort to the general masses of our people if it can't take care of its very own staffers, its own administrative arm that keeps it going?
I'm told that we have the latitude of about 2 or so minutes because Premier Zigalala has yet to join. Lindo, from your side, posing the exact same question, the kind of comments that this situation has sort of elicited from people who know you in the community. What kind of comments people pass when you say, well, I've not been paid, and this is by a party that runs government?
Look, Tolly, I think Amanda has said it all. You know, when we are going to our communities, we are not just only staff when we are going to our communities. We are also leaders in our own right. and some of them look up to us, and some of them would want to even join the ANC, to work for the ANC in one way or the other. It depends on how you present yourself as a person. Now, if you are used to going home and you are contributing to your neighbors, you are contributing towards the well-being of the kids that are around you in your communities, and all of a sudden you come during the holidays, because we are going to be closing soon and we have to go home, where we are used to be giving and be supporting our relatives, our extended families, and also our community members. It hurts and it cuts deep to hear them saying the comments of disappointment against the African National Congress. But we always would want to assure them that we are going to find a solution. And as painful as it is now, we want to make them understand that there are no permanent problems, and we are hopeful that the leadership is going to come on board and finding a lasting solution, and understand that it does not only affect us as staff, but it affects our immediate families, our extended families, and the community at large, where we are coming from.
Yeah.
So the comments that are there are really disappointment comments. They are really comments of pain and comments of feeling sorry for us as individuals and as heads of families, because we had families, and in some instances, if not most instances, we are the sole breadwinners in our families.
All right. Gentlemen, my thanks to the both of you for opening up to us and the broader South Africa about the challenges around this matter. Hopefully, a solution will be found, and we are going to be speaking to one of the leaders of the ANC. Maybe he might give us some reason to be hopeful. Lindo Dladla in KwaZulu-Natal and Mandla Qwane up here in Gauteng. Thank you very much for your time.